course, before we get going, at Royal Roads University, it is important to acknowledge our traditional lands. So Royal Roads University does acknowledge that our campus rests upon the traditional lands of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations. And of course, it's with gratitude that we learn and work here, where the past, present, and future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, staff, and faculty come together. So thank you all so much for being here today. And of course, to introduce today's webinar, we're pleased to be introducing the Graduate Certificate in Change Management here. So I am Ariana Konchersky. I'm an education specialist at Royal Roads University, and I'm happy to be joined by Cal Roberts, who's the Director of Workforce Development and Lifelong Learning in Professional and Continuing Studies. Cal, thanks for being here. How are you?
I'm very well. Happy to be here. Lovely Victoria Day.
Fantastic. Agreed. Agreed. And just an agenda before we get going here, folks. So right now, of course, welcome and introductions. And then I'll just give us a little overview of the Royal Roads University experience, some program information, and then also the application process and requirements and a question and answer period throughout. So you might be asking yourself, if you're new to Royal Roads, why explore Royal Roads? Of course, at Royal Roads, we like to believe that we were built differently. So we see life as a qualification. So really taking into account people's life experience, work experience, and we realize that that can qualify folks to come into our program. So that's something that I believe sets us apart in our flexible admissions policy. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. We also have small class sizes, so we pride ourselves on profs who know your name. You're more, of course, than just a student number. We really like to have that one-on-one connection with your professors and the folks in your classes. Learning based on life, again, using that life as a qualification to enhance your learning in the classroom. And then also we have a cohort model here at Royal Roads University. So really bringing those people that you're learning with in your classes throughout your cohort as you go on your academic journey. And of course, from day one, we have been exploring online and blended learning models. So we like to believe from day one, we were founded differently, and this is not something that we kind of pivoted to during COVID. We really have that in our DNA here. And moving right along here, I'll just give us a little overview of our space. So this is our beautiful campus here in Victoria. You'll see to the top left, you may have seen this building before. This is Hatley Castle, very famous movie set that's been in X-Men and Deadpool and movies all the time. So you may have seen that before. And then we also have a variety of gardens and green spaces here. So just to the right, you'll see a photo of our Japanese garden, one of our really beautiful places here on campus, especially in the fall, as you can see there. And then to the bottom left, you'll see our Esquimalt Lagoon. This is one of my personal favorites. It's a migratory bird sanctuary that we have on campus. So nice to sit by the water and just clear your head. And then we also have an homage to our online and blended learning. So you'll see in the bottom right corner, as I mentioned, this is something that we pride ourselves on. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the program. So I will now pass it off to Cal Roberts to give us some program information. Take it away.
Thanks, Ariana. Welcome, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm also today coming to you from the lands of the Lekwungen and the Esquimalt peoples, just up the road from our main campus. And I'm also a double alumni of this university. I have a degree in communications from here, as well as an MA in technology from a few years ago. And I would like to welcome anybody, if you could just share in the chat room where you're coming from today, share where you're, who you are and what you do, and maybe where you're coming from, because this is a virtual webinar, we're not in person, so please do so. I also want to acknowledge that Lisa Murray is with us today, also managing the chat, and certainly provides a plethora of information for this webinar, and so I'm grateful that she's here today as well. And many years ago, she also used to run this program, so lots of information from her as well. So thank you for inviting me, Ariana. Like I said, I'm privileged and proud to be on campus of Royal Roads. It's a very special place for me. This program is also very special to me. And like most organizations right now, change seems to be constant, right? We're living in this world where it's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And Royal Roads is no different. There's lots of change going on all of the time. And so this program has been around for a few years now, almost a decade, but it's also timely because of the continual updates and the revisions to the content and the curriculum, so that we can ensure that the program itself provides you with the information and the knowledge that you to go into your organizations and inspire positive change. So that's my soapbox for the very beginning. But really, what this program is about you, and it's about you working within organizations and working to help your organizations transform, build culture, shift culture, whatever the case may be. And so we've met you with the content that will help you do that. So can I manage the slides? There we go. So where will the graduate certificate take you? This program, like many others through professional and continuing studies at Royal Roads, helps you with professional accreditation. We are a qualified educational provider with the Association of Change Management Professionals. And that is an ever-growing professional organization which has a global reach. And so what that means is we align with its ACMP standard. And that means that wherever you go, whether it's in Canada or North America or Europe or whatever, the curriculum that we're learning will align with a standard and a body of knowledge that will prepare you for employment or work elsewhere. So we're very proud of that. One of the editors or the people connected to the standard itself, when it was being created, actually has helped us out with some curriculum development as well. So we are in alignment. And again, what we talk about here is leadership capacity and competence. This is one of those programs where there's a change management component, which integrates kind of the technical, tangible elements of tools and processes, but it also is a change leadership component as well. And what that means is that you will also learn about people, because ultimately change impacts people directly, and without the people in the organizations, obviously we won't have jobs. So that's those pieces. There is a potential of increased wages, like every organization or every person trying to get ahead and moving towards a new career or upskilling and reskilling. And this program also works into other components of the university, such as the MA, the MBA, and it's also a specialization as part of the MA in executive leadership. So there are many different pathway opportunities once you've received the certificate that you can go elsewhere within the institution. And also the shift into other industries. What I like about change management and the program is it is effectively a transferable skill set. So it doesn't matter which sector you're in, which industry you're in, change management will be required as part of the organization to help it move forward. So it doesn't necessarily tie itself down to one industry or organization. This program, starting in September, the program will have 2 virtual residencies. And what we found is because the program starts in September, right after the back to school rush, for working professionals, it's really difficult to get 5 days on campus to come to campus and separate yourself from the work that you do. I think what we're dealing with now in institutions is probably more like work-life integration, where we have lifelong learners. We have organizations who have a learning culture and want their employees and their staff to upskill and reskill all the time. And by allowing a virtual residency and by allowing the virtual experience, it means you get to manage your home life and your personal life and your everything else that you do in addition to managing a program like this, so you can do both at the same time. What we're hoping for in the online learning courses is that it's a bit flexible. We anticipate that it's about 10 to 15 hours of learner effort per week. And what I've always said with these programs is that it's a little bit different because you choose how to learn yourself. You'll be working with groups, there will be teamwork, there will be individual assignments as well. But it really depends on how you learn and what you want to learn, because the resources and the curriculum available to you means that you can go deep dive into different areas of the curriculum that you want to do, or you can manage as you go with the rest of your courseware. These are some of the typical online delivery elements that you can expect in the program, and we're no different. Obviously, there are discussion posts, reflective activities. This is a really experiential program. Lisa's put a link in there to our Royal Roads learning and teaching model, and that's really the cornerstone of how we approach learning, and especially adult learning. I'm looking at the chat room here and I'm looking at the participants, and I know everybody in this room is a working professional. You've all brought years of experience into the program, and you have things to say. You have opinions and you have experiences that are beneficial to everybody else in the program. So with that said, what we're hoping for is bringing a cohort together of learners so that they can share ideas, share experiences, and learn from each other in addition to our scholar practitioner faculty. I worked with this faculty for many years. They're fantastic in what they do. They're also subject matter experts, and also in many cases working out there as consultants for organizations as well. So the benefit from that is to you is that you get real-time learning experience. What's going on in organizations? What's showing up? Is it new thoughts and processes around EDI and embedding that into the curriculum? Because that's what we've done with this recent offer. And you'll also be building shared knowledge in the readings. So you'll have access to the Royal Roads Library, which means that you'll also have all of the databases, all of the research that you want. And so the learning can take place in many different forms. Again, PCS and Royal Roads itself has lots of affiliations with professional organizations. The International Coach Federation is also, we have a master's in executive coaching. We also have a graduate certificate in executive coaching. Many consultants from the change management space also move into kind of coaching and the organizational coaching at some point. And again, Project Management Institute is a kind of aligned with the Association of Change Management Professionals, because without the projects and being in organizations, we wouldn't need change management. And so the two of them are kind of intrinsically linked. So back to this program. The Graduate Certificate in Change Management is designed for people who wish to expand their knowledge and skills in the area of change management. This is becoming more and more prevalent now. Change management is the critical area, as we've all seen with the pandemic, with the return to pandemic, with the flexible work arrangements, with changes in how we do our work now, change in AI, changes in technology, digital transformation, all of these things that are coming up for people now. Change is constant, change is fast, and so the ability to manage and lead change in organizations is becoming ever more prevalent. So again, as I said, this program has 2 virtual online residencies. One is 5 days in September, and the second is 3 days at the end, is what we call a capstone in March the following year. So this would be 2025. The 3 courses of 3 academic credits in each. It's for a total of 9 credits, which you can apply to other areas of the institution. And you can use those credits elsewhere as well. So if Royal Roads is not your destination of choice for whatever you choose in the future, we hope that it is, but if it is not, you still get a transcriptable 9 credits, which we can move you through any academic institution, wherever you choose to go. And really, there's an opportunity here to talk about the 3 courses and how they're structured, because really what we try to do is learn about personal leadership first. So the residencies themselves are where we build communities. So CHMN 615 has the 2 residency components within it. And that's an opportunity to meet your cohort. It's an opportunity to meet your peers, to work into teams, and then also kind of, have some direction setting about what's covered. Also, because it is a virtual residency, you'll be online with those people that in your group and in your cohort for the full 5 days. Now, recognizing that sitting on a Zoom call the entire day is a wee bit tricky. We've built in breaks, and we built it in because we've done this since the pandemic. And so we've got a pretty good setup of making sure that you have time to get away from the computer, reflection time, and building it in. So by the end of the 5 days, you're not drained by Zoom calls. We want it to be as experiential as possible. And I think with today's technology, we're able to do that quite well. We found that our evaluations actually provide a really positive experience in the virtual space. One of the things I like about CHMN 615 as well is that there will be a real live case study in the first residencies. That will be working with an organization who has this particular change challenge, and then you will work with that organization to present out at the end of that 5 days. I find that particularly rewarding because it allows an organization who may not necessarily have the ability or the capacity to have subject matter experts present out to them on change management strategies, and allows the students to actually give back and share their ideas and showcase what they can do. CHMN 635 and 675 are both online courses. Both of them kind of build on the change leadership components in CHMN 615. By moving into more tools and best practices and strategies within organizations so that you have the practical application. And of course, CSMN 617 culminates with measurement, tools and measurement. The change management practices aren't really worth it. And how do you know if they've been successful? How do you know if they haven't been successful? The measurement is always a key part of change management initiatives. And so we do a pretty good job, I think, of allowing students to have those tools and be provided with the tools to do so at the end of that course. And as Lisa said in the chat room, those course descriptions are available completely online, and I'll let them read you rather than me reading the entire syllabus to you. I'll let you read those at your leisure. And again, you can build this. You can build from here. So this program is 9 academic credits. There's the MBA in Executive Management. We have a Master's in Global Management as well, an MA in Tourism, and Interdisciplinary Studies, which is allowing you to kind of curate your own learning journey. So you can apply this course to that master's program, the MA in Interdisciplinary Studies, and then select from other areas and other courseware from the rest of the institution to build your own master's program. It's becoming more and more popular now for students to want to create their own learning journey because jobs are so different. You could be a change management professional in one area of an organization and have someone else with the same title in a completely different organization, but the roles are somewhat different. So you need to have these nuanced, specialized curriculum to be able to help you do your job or move to the next one. Again, there's more graduate level programs that are offered by professional and continuing studies in this space. And now I will have a drink of water and pass it back to Ariana to say more.
Thanks so much, Cal. I understand. I always have the water beside me during the webinars as well. So we'll chat a little bit, folks, about how to apply for this program if you are interested, which of course we hope you are. As I mentioned at the start, we have two ways of admission into Royal Roads. We have standard and flexible admission. So standard admission looks like the completion of either an undergraduate degree, so a 4-year or a comparable degree, or a graduate degree in a related field from a recognized post-secondary institution. And then normally at least 3 years of relevant full-time work experience. We also have flexible admission, which, as I mentioned, allows folks maybe with not a full roster of post-secondary education and work experience to come into the program. So to be considered for that, you would normally require at least 5 full-time years of extensive relevant work experience and some post-secondary education. So all of this is assessed on a case-by-case basis. So this is not something that you choose upon applying to the program. This is something that upon assessment, our admissions advisors will be able to determine. And moving right along here, so just to some application details. So if you are thinking of applying, the first step, of course, is an online application fee, and that's $134.01 at the moment. And then we ask for some supporting documentation. So these could be things like official transcripts, personal statement. The personal statement, as an alumni of Royal Roads myself, was one of my favorite parts when I was applying to my program in communications. I was able to really sit down and reflect, what do I want to bring to the program? What do I think that I can bring? And also what I want to get out of the program. So it really is your moment kind of reflection to do that when you're applying. As well, we ask for a detailed resume. So things like volunteer experience, work experience, really putting in all of the details so that our admissions advisors can really have that full, robust picture of who you are as an individual. And then 2 letters of reference as well. So those can be ideally one academic and one professional, or sometimes folks have 2 professional if you've been out of school for a long time or things like that. So if applicable as well, also an English language proficiency score. And then the demonstration of academic writing skills. So that is the 8-week course in academic writing and critical thinking. And all of the information for that will be on our website, as long as more details for all of these things. You can see kind of a step-by-step at royalroads.ca. So some key dates, as Cal was mentioning, for the graduate certificate in change management, the start date is September 3rd, 2024, and the application deadline is June 3rd. So that'll be here before you know it. I can hardly believe it's almost April, which is crazy to me. So it's always a good time now to get those documents in and really get everything together. If you are thinking of applying, sooner rather than later is always best if you can.
I should also point out, Ariana, that the apply by date means that the date to apply. So if you still have to wait on transcripts and personal statements and a few of the different bits and pieces, at least you're in the system as applied. So you don't necessarily have to have all of your documentation in at that by that deadline. But as long as you're in the system as has been applied, then that's okay.
Fantastic. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. And then financial aid as well, just to take a moment to mention that. So we realize, of course, going back to school, it's a huge financial commitment, right? A huge step. So we have resources that are available to you. So things like loans, awards, bursaries, research scholarships, and emergency funding. You can discover all of that at royalroads.ca/admission/financial aid awards. There's also a couple phone numbers there as well. But it really is a wonderful resource. I like the financial aid page a lot because you can kind of filter through based on your situation and based on the programs as well, what you might qualify for. So that's always nice to look through. And then, of course, application support. I realize I forgot to mention at the beginning, wonderful Lisa Murray is here from Enrollment Services. So again, thank you to Lisa for being here. She's truly wonderful, as are all of the other enrollment advisors. And they're available to answer your questions. They provide information that you need. So things like in-depth program details, application process, standard and flexible admission requirements, even things like transfer agreements, campus and student services, and then they connect you with faculty and alumni like myself. So choosing the university, of course, is a big decision. We're always here to help. To get a hold of our enrollment advisors, the email is learn.more@royalroads.ca. Always easy to remember that one. And there's a phone number for toll-free in North America on the screen as well. Again, all of this is at royalroads.ca. So if you have any questions, thank you, Lisa, for putting those emails in the chat. That's wonderful. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We are here for you. And then that is my last slide here with any questions at all, maybe in the chat that are popping up, but I don't see anything here. But Cal, is there anything else you wanted to say about the program or to wrap us up here?
Well, I would like to say that my experience at Royal Roads, and I don't know if there's any alumni on the call other than you, but what I really do like about Royal Roads is that you are supported all the way through. You know, not just through financial aid, but with an amazing IT support team and help desk team that can troubleshoot. You know, the learning management system that we use is called Moodle, and the CTED is our unit that supports that. And they're extremely helpful and responsive as well. And I really feel like it is a bit of a community at the institution when there are, you know, challenging times as students. And so, you know, when those pieces come up, our ability to respond to those and ensure that students are set up for success in the best way possible is probably one of the key elements of what I would say my learning experience at Royal Roads has been. And so, you know, obviously change happens to individuals as well. And so we like to think that we're at least responsive to that and helping students get to where they need to go. Mammy has asked about the virtual residency in the chat room. And so, yes, the virtual residency is done through Zoom. It also is it's about 9 to 4:30. Let me just check. Yeah, it is about 8:30 to 4:45 each day. But there are breaks built into that to ensure that students have, you know, adequate time away from Zoom. We really do recommend that we're not trying to run the program whilst students are working at the same time, because they're so experiential that you will be put into breakout spaces. You will be going through practical activities and presenting back. There's a lot of interaction that goes on in that program, and so being as present as possible is recommended.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for answering that, Cal. If there's no other questions, we can always wrap up here. But again, if there's anything else, feel free to pop it in the chat, or of course you have all of the emails there. But if nothing else comes up, I'll wrap us up for today, give us a little bit of time back. So, and absolutely, Lisa's putting in the chat. We encourage people as well to chat with our amazing alumni. She's put her email in the chat. Oh, Riley's also asking how long the residencies are.
Yeah, the residencies run from 8:30 until about 4:45 each day. There's some community building there, and you know, there's some sort of housekeeping pieces at the beginning of each day and a bit of a rundown, and then we get into activities. There's lunches and breaks and those kinds of things. But it's a full. If it was a full-time on campus, the schedule would be by and large the same. The students would be expected to be here at 8:30 and then finishing up about 4:30 each day.
Absolutely. And I know from my experience too, the residencies are often the most exciting part. They really give you the chance to like meet everyone, connect. It's a really exciting time. And I've known many students and alumni to have said the same. So it's a wonderful time.
Well, the ability for these residencies to be virtual means that there's a greater reach. So you know, travel now seems to be getting more and more expensive. Accommodations are really, really expensive. Getting time away from just doing your jobs or living your lives are really, really expensive. And you know, that can cause barriers to learning. And so what we try to do with a virtual residency, while not as, you know, in person and immersive as what a physical space might be, students are more receptive to what we found anyway. Students are more receptive to our ability to help them live their lives whilst also doing this learning. So while we try to replicate as many of the activities as possible, I think technology now does help us kind of mitigate some of those challenges with not being face to face, because the technology does help us with Padlets and those kinds of things to do to reach the same learning outcomes in the program.
Absolutely, certainly. Well, thank you all so much. Will you share the slide deck? I can absolutely send it to you. I will go ahead and capture some of that info, and then I can put that in the follow-up as well. Perfect. Well, thank you everyone so much for tuning in today. We appreciate your time and your attentiveness to everything that we had to say. So if you have any other questions, of course, please reach out and I'll be in touch with this information. I'll compose it into my follow-ups as well. And so if you have any questions, feel free to respond to that email or be in touch at learn.more@ruralroads.ca. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.